These three guys are thrown out. And as they're leaving, the two black guys, were throwing the N-word at me. And it was all shortly after the Michael Richards thing.
Yeah.
So it was the perfect storm.
So you felt the Richards brewing? Yeah, I could be the Comedy Store Michael Richards.
It was just all, but they were yelling it at me. So now the room is just, it's silent. And then, okay, they're gone. Everything's great now, So then I started again, people were just staring at me. They're still recovering from what they had just seen. It's like driving past a car wreck. And then I said something, I don't know. And then someone in the back said, "You're projecting."
Ooh, scene.
And that was just like, oh, fuck.
Right.
That was like the arrow that, oh. And I was like, Tommy! Tommy!
You're bleeding out.
Tommy! Who's next?
Hey everyone, welcome to Bomb Shelter again. This is episode 6, right? We're on episode 6 now. Holy shit. 6 episodes. And this one is a great episode. Oh my God. I had somebody who I dearly look up to. And actually, one of the first comedians I ever saw live at the Comedy Store. And I've known him for, 19 years this whole time. And what's really cool about this guy is I immediately loved his stand-up right away, right when I saw him. I would talk about him. He was, not a popular guy back then. He was, but what I didn't realize during this time when I am first finding out about him and becoming a huge fan was the crisis he was going through in his development. And it's crazy to watch somebody you really look up to be so vulnerable and tell you that, like, oh, those times when you were looking up to me, I didn't know what I was doing. So, I mean, he wore a great mask and he pulled that off and it seemed awesome to me. And this story is so great because it really shows how you could go from somebody who's probably faking it to make it to actually becoming the real thing. And little things would happen that get him closer to his voice. Some good advice from bigger comedians. But, of course, as always, the main factor in developing in anything was a few really bad bombs. And we're going to jump into it. And, God, this was such a funny, great interview. I mean, it was hard not to get choked up at parts. And I'm very proud of this. And I'm very proud of this show and to be able to bring this episode to you great people. So, with that, please enjoy my interview with Kirk Fox.
You asked me last night, and I said, I'm going to try.
Yep.
I don't like to be anywhere.
I know. That's why it's so great to have you here, Kirk.
And you're at that angle over there. I like that.
Well, yeah, and it's all going to come together when you see it.
It doesn't matter. I won't see this. I'm living. I'm living it.
Do you not watch your TV shows?
No.
Have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
No. I hear it's good.
It's great. You're hilarious.
I had my moments back then.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall also. He's in that.
I did have a moment in there.
Yep.
What was your moment?
He was.
Oh, you were the sound booth engineer.
Yes, he was.
I was. I said, act like losing your penis is a bad thing.
Yeah, I feel like you're bringing that same character to this.
To this what?
To this show.
That's not a character.
That's you.
That's,
well, yeah, you never.
Do you think I'd really bring a character?
So you don't even really act.
I don't. But it's funny that you thought I was bringing a character here. Like I said, how am I going to be here?
It's the same speed.
This is just it.
It's the same speed. Always has been. And I. You know how much I love you, Kirk.
I don't know.
I do, and you know that.
We never really know how much anyone loves anybody.
Oh, but Kirk,
they can say it. But
we've had lots of talks about this over the years. I've known you for nearly 20 years, Kirk.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first moment I saw you.
Where was that?
It was May 26th, 2007. It's the first time I stepped foot in the Comedy Store. It was a Friday night. I might get that date wrong, but somewhere.
November 10th, 2002 was the first time I was on stage.
Was it at the Comedy Store?
At the Comedy Store.
Wow, look at us. We're so like,
I
followed in my father's footsteps.
I did 3 minutes, and they didn't laugh for any of it. But then the last 15 seconds, I said, this was funny this morning in front of the mirror. And then they laughed. And it was at that moment where I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Because that was the first honest moment of the set.
Right.
The whole set was based on, I was telling them I was Jesus's brother because they had found something that proved that Jesus had a brother. Uh-huh. And I think my whole set was that I was James. Instead of saying, imagine Jesus's brother, James. I made the mistake of just saying, hey, I'm Jesus's brother, James. You don't know what it was like growing up with, it was like, he got all the, I taught him how to build shelves. Carpentry was mine. I had a band, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was more, they were just watching an insane person.
Right. We had different dads.
Yeah. But, and then at the end I said, but I mean, it was dead silent the whole time.
Yeah.
And then at the end I said, this was funny this morning in front of the mirror, I swear. And then they laughed. So they almost thought the whole 3 minutes was a setup. Yeah, it was so well played.
Some alt comedy for you.
But that was when I kind of understood
and
it.
That last
and then I went to El Compadre after with a couple friends and, talked about my set.
Oh, yeah? Look at that. Some things never change.
Yeah, I went there a lot.
Yeah, we went there a lot.
Yeah.
That was our Wednesday tradition for
Wednesday for a while.
Yeah, taco and a margie.
Taco margie.
And we talk about life.
White meat chicken.
Yep. And if they did anything wrong,
I wanted my white meat.
Yep. And they had to go back and get it right.
They had to do it
One
right.
time they shredded the meat, you shredded them.
Yeah. No, I would just let them know. I know. I leaned back and I saw her
The panic.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. It's a
Well, she has to deal with it after.
It's
so.
a podcast.
Yeah.
No one's watching. They're listening, maybe.
Yeah. Well, no, they're watching. All right. The last 15 seconds of your first time on stage, that probably sealed it for you that you would at least try it again. Before that, did you think this was a one-off thing, or did you think you're starting comedy? Do you think I should just try it?
I just needed something to do.
And you were an actor
at night.
You've been an actor at that point for how long?
Well, an actor is an interesting phrase. I'd been in a lot of movies, but I wasn't really an actor. Mm. I was kind of given little parts where I couldn't really do too much damage.
You're right. Yeah.
No one really gave me a lot to do, but they liked having me around.
Yeah.
So to say I was an actor, I think I'm a tennis pro.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of all I am. And all this is just extra. So, but 10 years. I think I came to Beverly Hills, I think, in the early 90s. And I was teaching tennis to directors. And all I wanted to do was live in a guest house in Beverly Hills and teach tennis to the family for rent.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do. And that's all I still want to do.
Yeah. You are that vibe. I love it.
It's just, and I dream about it. Yeah. I have a wife and child, but I could easily walk and then go to a guest house and just live.
Yeah.
Like I fantasize about the south of France, just teaching tennis a couple hours a day and then swimming on a topless beach. daily.
Wow.
And people say, would you miss your family? They'd get over it.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
I always think they do better when I'm gone.
What makes you go from teaching directors and people tennis to stand-up comedy? How'd that?
Because I needed something to do at night.
Mm-hmm.
And it also was, I was just best friends with movie stars.
Yeah.
So all my friends had millions of dollars in houses.
I know.
And I seemed to be content in a shitty little apartment. So at some point I just said, oh, I maybe should do something.
Mm-hmm.
I started stand-up late.
Yeah.
So I'd say for 15 years I was just teaching tennis and teaching girls and going to acting class and not learning anything, and a couple lines in a movie here, a couple lines in a movie there.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my first movie the other day. Well, actually my second movie. My first movie was called Treacherous with C. Thomas Howell and Tia Carrera. And it was in Mexico. And I was playing tennis with Douglas Day Stewart. And he wrote Officer and a Gentleman. But we'd play tennis every day up at Mulholland Tennis Club. Yeah. And he wouldn't pay me, but he'd buy me lunch and drinks.
Nice.
I rarely charged for tennis.
Yeah, well, look how far it took you.
Well, I'm here. I'm down in this basement.
Yeah.
So it did something right. But I would teach tennis for food. But Douglas said, hey, there's a movie I'm doing, and that I kind of did a rewrite on it. And then he says, you got a resume? So I created a fake resume. I picked all movies where I knew the casting director had died.
So there's no evidence.
Yeah. So then I went down to Mexico and did that. But my second movie was Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman and all those great actors, because I was teaching tennis to Lawrence Kasdan.
Oh, shit.
And living in his guest house when he'd be shooting a movie.
Wow. So you made it.
So I made it. I got that guest house.
You got that early on.
And I was thinking about this the other day because he had said, can you ride a horse? And I said, I can ride like the wind. And then shortly after my arrival to Santa Fe, it became apparent that I couldn't ride a horse. And that I was just there to play tennis on his days off, the director. And I remember the first scene, they brought me into town and they put me on a very small horse and tied my hands. And I was led into town on this horse. And at the end of the scene, they yelled, cut! And then Larry said, all right, Kirk, get off the horse. And I said, I'm off it. I'm standing. Someone should just pull it out.
Yeah, get the horse off of me.
Get the horse out from under me. Because I was so much bigger than this little horse. So I think every movie was because of tennis. For 10 years, to answer your question, because 2002 and 92 was the first time I did Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, and you start stand-up. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you kind of started getting the hang of it quicker than most people. Probably because you started at an older age, I would say. You already knew more about yourself.
Well,
probably more comfortable in yourself.
I was completely a con artist.
Yeah, you could just act like you know
So
comedy.
what I was doing on stage was a character.
Right.
And that was the problem. That was, it gave the appearance of, oh, this guy's cool. But I wasn't. I was just a good enough writer.
Yeah.
That I could pull it off. But all those first 5 years, it was all bullshit. It was just, I was pretending.
Wow. Well, you were great.
And I was a good enough writer, and I came in late. That was late.
Yeah, but we're all pretending at first.
Well, yeah.
Because you're just doing what you think a comedian is.
Yeah, but even those that are pretending, they're telling their truths.
Yeah, right.
So I give them more credit.
Well, no, because
mine weren't.
Well, I think
every joke was bullshit.
But that's kind of your style. Like, it's also styles. Do you think Anthony Jeselnik is telling his truth?
Well, those are what he thinks is funny.
Yeah,
those are well structured.
Exactly, but you don't know the man after.
Well, you get a feel for it. He's pretty consistently that way on and off. But I'm just saying, for me, there was never comfort.
Wow, you really did fake it great.
There was no comfort. It was just, a lot of.
That's
sway
crazy to tell me this, because, like I said, I remember the first time I saw you on that date, that Friday night in 2007, May. This was like a month or so after that whole Rogan-Mencia thing. So I heard your name get dragged.
Yeah.
Because you're part of that. You wrote on Mencia's show.
Well, they wanted me to. I was only working on that show for a week, if that.
Wow. And you got just long enough to get...
Just to be dropped into that. I remember because... I think he saw me at the Comedy Store once.
The Joe?
Carlos. And said, hey, do you want to come ride on my show? And at the time, I said, yeah. But I certainly didn't ride on that show. It's like I got there and I was like, I want out. And that was in 2007 because I remember I went to the Aspen Comedy Festival and one new face.
Yep.
The jury, whatever it was. So right when I won that, I just said, oh, I'm a comedian. And then I said, hey, I can't. So I quit that show. But that all happened, I think, within the first week.
Damn.
Where I was on stage. I don't even remember the logistics. But I think Carlos came up. Did I bring, do you know?
So
Ari was there? I don't know. I just know that I was on stage.
I know what happened. I know what happened. Joe was on stage.
Uh-huh.
You're next.
Oh,
Joe's going to bring you on.
Okay.
Carlos is in the back.
I got you.
Joe goes, this next guy writes on Carlos Mencia.
Okay.
He took a jab at him.
Okay.
Carlos cut in front of you on your way up, and he entered the stage. While
okay.
Joe was already up there, which is like hopping in the lion's den with a fucking...
Okay, so I never even made it to the stage.
No. He beat you to it.
Good, man.
And now he's up there face to face with Joe Rogan.
Okay.
And of course, Red Band's back there with everything. And then Ari gets swept in. And
okay. Now I remember.
So I don't even know if you went up that night. I mean, you probably had to go on after that.
I don't even remember.
Is that back and forth?
Maybe. Oh yeah, maybe I went.
You wouldn't remember how long that sequence was, do you?
No.
Yeah, but you were next, so I'm sure you went up. You followed.
Okay.
Wow.
That was exciting.
Yeah, that was like a beacon for me.
But I remember Joe was mad at me for a while, and then I think eventually he realized, oh, I'm not with, Carlos. I'm not with anybody.
Right.
But I think I was in the back, and I maybe said, oh, guys, don't film this or something. Mm-hmm. And maybe that was enough to like, Kirk tried to stop the filming.
Damn, I'm so glad they filmed that because that literally was like a beacon for me. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I'm going. I want to go to that circus." And it was like just a month or so later, and I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, like I knew it was like the Comedy Store is like it's in Hollywood. I'm in Long Beach. That's like not that far,
Yeah.
But I remember the night that I got there, the first comedian I ever saw was Carlos Mencia.
Wow.
So he goes up, he crushes. First time I saw live stand-up, and then he brings you up. And then, so before that, I only knew, I knew the comedians that were famous.
Yeah.
From Comedy Central or whatever we know. And then you go on. It was the first guy that I didn't know of. And I was like, oh shit, I thought I knew what stand-up comedy was.
I'm mysterious. I try and
stay
in the corners.
It reminded me, I was like, the whole time I was watching you.
I'm sure I was in denim.
Yeah, you were, from head to toe.
Shit.
And I was like...
My socks were denim.
The whole time I was like, dude, my dad would love this guy. Like, this is like a comedian. Like,
Dads love me.
Yeah, dads love you. And
now I'm a dad, and I hate me.
I knew I wanted to meet you after that. And then my dad... like months later, he wanted to go to a show, and I'm just a door guy there, so I get him some tickets, and he goes, and then I think a few days later, he calls me and he's kind of giving me the rundown of everything he saw.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's your favorite? And he was like, who's the guy with the mustache? And I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
A
That's Kirk Fox.
mustache.
Yep. And the leather jacket.
God, leather and denim. I like to keep people guessing.
And then, I remember one day you were hanging out at the front patio, and I got a little more comfortable being a door guy there, being around people I looked up to. And you were so nice and cool to the young people, and you were like,
the youth.
Hey, kid. And it was just like, oh my God. And I didn't know what to say to you other than like I had a fanboy out all over you.
Nice.
Talked about your jokes because I knew your jokes. So me and Tony used to try to quote the Chihuly.
Dale Chihuly.
Yeah, we used to do you.
The #1 glass blower in the world. He has an eye patch.
Yep.
How good can you be if you can't blow a decent glass eye?
It's crazy how these jokes could have nothing to do with you. And it's just you're painting this picture out of your imagination, and everybody's on board. Like I need some truth to it. Like I need to have seen the thing I'm saying in order to even be able to say it.
Eventually, what happened was there was a period where I just hated the fact that all my jokes were bullshit.
Well, a lot of them were about animals.
Yeah, well, those were real.
Those were the real ones.
But I remember there was a period where it's like I wasn't talking about anything real.
Yeah, I love that period though.
Yeah, but it got to my brain at some point where I just wasn't functioning.
Yeah.
Because there was such turmoil within my soul.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to Sarah Silverman about it once, and she said, it's okay to tell a joke as long as you know it's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for some reason, that freed my brain to be like, oh, these are my truths.
Yes.
You mentioned Anthony. Those are his truths.
Right.
They're well constructed. But at the time, when I was trying to climb out of the bullshit, I didn't have the tools. Mm-hmm. Anthony started in his 20s, young man. He'd been doing comedy for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
He's precision. Yeah. I love him.
Yeah.
And it was also at that time, because last night, you told me about this, and, I had said, I'd only bomb once. But then I realized today that, oh, no, I bombed for 26 straight days.
What?
In Edinburgh.
Oh.
Shortly after that, like after I won the Aspen,
right?
Shared the jury prize. After that, they said, "Hey, do you want to come to Edinburgh and you and Mark Maron can share an hour?" I was like, "Oh yeah, man!
Oh no,
fuck, I'm great."
Oh no!
And
you're not ready for this.
Oh shit! I wasn't ready for anything. It was the con about to be
exposed.
The gig was up, and as we were flying there, I was sitting next to Mark, and I remember saying, "Man, this is a long way to go to peddle jokes," And he said, "No, I peddle truths," And for some reason, that got
fucked with you. Yeah.
That got in my brain a little, like, oh. But now today I realize, every joke is my truth.
Yeah.
If I've thought of it, it's my POV.
Yeah, it is you.
So, but at the time I was just like, oh fuck, I have no truths.
Right.
And then I went there, and we even lived together in an apartment. And I'd go first. I'd do 30, and he would do 30. And for 26 straight days, they just stared at me, talking about Kobe beef, shit, dinner and lunch. It was like,
those are classic.
Classics if delivered like, hey, I fucking love Kobe beef, man. What I gotta pay for the flight over. I'm trying to convince myself and the room that I just had Kobe beef. Instead of, now I could easily do the Kobe beef because there's a seed of truth in there that I water with my imagination.
Yeah.
You know, Kobe beef's expensive. Okay, that's true. Now I'll build a world around it. What, I got to pay for the flight over? Do I get frequent fryer miles? You know, all the bullshit that could go with Kobe beef. But at the time, I was delivering it like,
Serious.
I got raped by a dolphin last week. Did I?
That sounded real.
No, but the thing about England and Europe, they just want truth. Even if it sucks, they're okay with it. They'll embrace, hey, man, tell us how fucked up you are.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I came out cocky and said, man, Kobe beef, what's up? You know, everything. You know, bird flu, you know, all things that are funny on paper. But my delivery was off.
How was Marin doing?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm just miserable and, you know, hated being there, but telling his truths.
Right.
Going through a divorce at the time and talking about it.
That was a fun era of Marin.
Yeah, it's always fun. Now it's cats, but it's the same.
I like divorce Marin more.
Yeah, well, divorce with the cats is good.
Ooh.
But, so that was a real interesting period because I was probably, 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having all the nervous breakdown. 10 years in comedy, you start questioning, oh, what's my voice? 20 to 30. If you start at 20, 10 years in, you'll kind of start to find your flow. But when you start in your 30s and when you're 10 years in, you're in your 40s in the midst of a midlife. Wait, what am I doing?
Right.
I'm doing open mics, but for some reason I was so delusional in that first 5 years that I'd go to coffee shops and stroll in like, fucking big dick comedian. Hey, man, I'm here. Been in all these movies, but they were one line here, two line, It's just people thought I was something other than I was. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until, after Edinburgh, it was an interesting period because I had to face some truths. It's like, oh shit, I'm not honest with who I am.
Did Marin say anything to you? Was there any
No,
discussion?
fuck. No, he doesn't. The only thing he said was once I put a coffee pot on the stove, and he got mad because there was a cord on it, and I burnt the cord. And he said, "We're gonna have to pay for that." I'd go buy the food, and he'd cook it. It was a real odd couple.
Yeah.
But then after that, I flew from Edinburgh to. And my mom died while I was in Edinburgh also. So it was just like, hey, but I wasn't even discussing any of that.
Your mom died and you're going up there talking about the phases of the moon.
Yeah, my moon watch, which is all, looking at it now, oh, God, those are strong, well-constructed jokes.
It made you different at the Comedy Store because the Comedy Store was very much a place of truth. Like, everybody kind of prided themselves.
but I was like, I had a layover in London on the way here. Guy tried to sell me a watch on the street, Rolex. He couldn't prove that he was an authorized Rolex dealer, which is funny. But if I'm saying it just happened on a layover, already they're out of it.
Yeah.
And then I saw the most expensive watch in the world. It has the day, the date, and the year. If you don't know what year it is, pretty sure it doesn't matter if you're 10 or 15 minutes late. Hey, I'm here for the job interview. That was last year. Oh, shit. I forgot to shake it.
I'm telling you, this stuff was so funny.
But now I can appreciate it. And it even had the lunar phases of the moon.
Yeah.
For an extra $500. Are you telling me the difference between looking at my watch and looking up at the moon is $500? I'll look at the moon. The only person who maybe needs a watch with the lunar phases, maybe a werewolf. He could use a watch with the lunar phases. It's like, oh, I got to get you home. It's almost midnight. Why? We're having so much fun. Or maybe an astronaut about to land on the moon. He needs a watch with the lunar phase. Pull back, it's just a tip. It's just a sliver. NASA, check your watches. It's not landable. You know, it's all like, oh, I can appreciate that now. But at the time when I was doing it, there was just, I didn't know it was a joke.
Oh, man.
So,
those were my favorite, most memorable jokes.
They're great now. And they were great then to you. But to me, I was like, fuck, you know, I'm not even talking about tennis. You know, I was playing tennis every day of my life, teaching tennis to Dr. Phil, or, you know, he gave me a TV show because of tennis. But I wasn't, you know, my only tennis joke was, you know, hey, have you ever played tennis with Anna Kournikova? Yeah, I lost. It's hard to serve and volley with an erection. You know. So that was like my tennis joke.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love.
Nice. Fuck, there it is.
There you go.
That's why he's at that angle.
So when you're telling these jokes that aren't truths, you know, when does that start turning? Before the Sarah Silverman conversation, are you trying any truths?
Well, the real tip. Well, also, I went from Edinburgh to shoot my Comedy Central half hour. I flew from Edinburgh
with the mount. Which was it?
Everest behind me.
Everest, right.
Because I wanted to climb Everest and do 5 minutes from the top. You know, a 2 oxygen bottle minimum. So that's how delusional. You know, I met my Sherpa's daughter. She took my breath away. You know. That's how delusional I was at the time of, I can climb Everest. I'm going to, you know, I talked to Comedy Central. I talked to Ed Weistris, you know, he was going to lead me up there. But I couldn't even do Runyon Canyon. But my brain was still like, oh, shit, I'm going to do Everest. And then we decided, we can't even insure you. So we put a backdrop behind it. You know, so I did some of my Everest jokes.
Yeah. Well, you also did other classics there. I remember that. The half an hour.
But as I was coming out on stage, I hit my head on the door jamb. So that whole set, I was a little loopy. Oh my God. I just really nailed it. So I had a welt on my head. And I kept saying, you know.
Yeah.
So I had a little Tourette's.
Right.
So the brain was in the process of, it was all, it was a slippery slope after Edinburgh and then Comedy Central. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well, the jig was up.
It was. And then it was really the final straw. You know, the final bomb.
Is this the one?
Yeah, the final.
I remember this one.
The final bomb was. It was, I think, clearly in 2008.
Yep, and it was a Friday night because it was back then Fridays. And
I have
Saturdays.
the date somewhere because I found it in a journal.
I remember it being a Friday because it had that Friday night feel, which is the biggest night of the week back then. It was pretty dead up until Fridays.
Well, it started at there was a showcase at the Improv. How are we doing on time?
We're good.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Don't even look at it. Just be present.
Oh, I'm always present. I did it for him because I saw him glance, so I went with his eyes. You know, I know the room. So it wasn't me concerned about time. I was assuring him it's safe.
Oh, I appreciate that, Kirk.
But it started at, there was a showcase for Letterman at the Improv. Brill was in town. Remember this guy?
Eddie Brill.
Eddie Brill. And I was down there trying to, do 5 minutes for the Letterman thing. But I knew even heading down there, I was like, I don't like anything about me.
Yeah.
Even this 5 minute set is all bullshit.
Uh-huh.
You know, I was with a girl the other night and a gun fell out of her purse. You know, all like, fuck, how do I do it? So it was my turn to go up, and Kyle went up before me.
Kyle.
Dunnigan, sorry. And he was doing something with the the beatbox or.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that was up on stage also, and I went up, and I ended up doing 5 minutes, but it was all about that beatbox.
Oh no,
I didn't do any jokes.
Oh, you didn't even get to your jokes.
Oh no, because I was just something was the brain was in the process of a mini stroke.
Sure,
for sure.
Yeah,
it was over. It was like And I came off, and Brill was like, "Oh, that was great, man, hilarious, but you didn't do one joke." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know."
yeah.
So I go outside, and I call up to the Comedy Store.
Yep.
And Tommy answered. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey, if you get up here right now, you can slide up early." I'm like, "Okay." So I usually stop and get a bite to eat.
Yeah.
And I always like to have a little food before. And I just went right up to the Comedy Store. So I probably got there at 9:30 or something. But by the time I got there, everyone had showed up.
So now you're waiting.
So now I'm waiting, and I'm in the back, and I'm sitting next to Tim Allen, who was there for some reason in the back row. And I had just auditioned for something earlier in the week for him.
Yeah.
And it was a movie, and I didn't get it, but he'd say, "Oh, that was great." I said, "Oh, okay." So I got that. So that's in my head. And then I watched 3 or 4 people go up. So I was definitely...
That's a long time.
I was definitely sitting there an hour.
Yeah.
I remember Steve Byrne went up and kind of... He had been at the showcase also.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think he was happy about his set either. But, he's doing himself.
Yeah.
Steve Byrne. And then at some point, I think Sebastian went up and was so good and so honest about just... He was telling jokes, but that's his personality.
Yes, very much so.
And I'm sitting in the back just going, "Fuck, why don't I just talk about, me?
Oh, no.
Why don't I just talk about me?"
And at this point, you are starving.
I'm starving, but, that's just the brain's... There's more to
You're
it.
compartmentalizing
There's
that.
more to it than food. Food became the excuse.
Oh, it is all build up. I mean, there's a lot of build up, but it doesn't help your mood when you're hungry.
No, but I don't even know if I was really hungry. It's just bullshit. It's all part of the...
It all comes out now.
It's all part of the con. It came out quickly after. So then I go up on stage, and, I think the room was kind of hot. It was good.
Yeah.
And I went up there, and I started talking, and someone in the front row just was like, "Ha, ha, ha." And I was, what was that? It's just...
And this
Ha, ha. I hadn't even, maybe I had said something, but it turns out that may have been how he laughed. It may have been who he was. I've often said, I hope I see him one day to apologize. But maybe he was, was on the spectrum or was the spectrum. But I got into it with him a little. Because of this laugh, and he had a couple friends with him, and it was a white guy and I think 2 black guys, and within a minute, "Tommy, get them out of here."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But mind you, you're only on stage for a minute.
This could have all gone down in 30 seconds.
It was quick.
It was like the quickest.
It was like less than 5 minutes. The whole sequence.
The whole sequence was less than... I'll tell you exactly how long it was. So these 3 guys are thrown out. And as they're leaving, the 2 black guys, were throwing the N-word at me. And it was all shortly after the Michael Richards thing.
Yeah.
So it was the perfect storm.
So you felt the Richards brewing? Yeah, I could be the Comedy Store Michael Richards.
It was just all, But they were yelling it at me. So now the room is just, it's silent. And then, okay, they're gone. Everything's great now, So then I started again. And it was a joke I was going to do at the Letterman thing with a girl. And I was on a date and a gun fell, People were just staring at me. They're still recovering from what they had just seen. It's like driving past a car wreck. And then I said something, I don't know. And then someone in the back said, "You're projecting."
Ooh, scene.
And that was just like, oh, fuck.
Right.
That was like the arrow that, oh. And I was like, Tommy! Tommy!
You're bleeding out.
Tommy! Who's next?
Tommy wasn't even ready. There's panic in the cover booth.
Fucking no one's ready. Then, Ren is easy.
Ren is easy, yeah.
Steve came up and, hey, I was like, okay,
I
have a
will
good
never forget the look on his face like, yeah, man, it's okay, man. You couldn't even look you in the eyes.
And then I get outside, but my head just started spinning and, it was a complete panic attack. I mean, it was a soul crusher. It was anxiety. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
When I called for Tommy, it was my last breath. And then Steve came up there, and that whole thing had taken 3 minutes of a 15-minute set. And I would say, so that was in 2008. I think for a couple years, I was wounded from that.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'd go on stage and I'd say, hey, Tommy, light me at 10 instead of 13. I'm not, okay. They all knew that something had happened.
Mm.
And that was where there was the real self. I think even after that, I went and had a good set on Layne on The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I had a really great set. I found a middle lane of, did the hybrid stuff, and you had me at I'm gay, and I had the house in Cambodia, but all bullshit.
Yeah.
But well constructed.
Yeah.
Where Jay was like, oh, that was one of the best sets.
Oh, he loved you.
And he brought me back to be the last comedian.
Yes.
But that was only like a month later. And I didn't.
Damn, that was quick.
I didn't have another 5 that had been flawless. So that kind of sucked a little. But it was really that became that's when I started trying to figure out who I was, just as a human being. And then I was able to kind of get the upper hand on the anxiety and what was causing it, and time to grow up, and then the real moment was, as long as I have a seed of truth, then I can water it with my imagination. Mm-hmm. So I realized that all my jokes had seeds. They had seeds of truth, even if it was just something I thought was funny. And that's kind of when Sarah said, hey, it's okay to tell a joke as long as you know it's a joke. Mm-hmm. And then I started, making I can be me, and a little more stillness on stage. Tried to be the same way on as off. Mm-hmm. But those first 5 years, it was a real, what's up? Hey.
Yeah.
Fucking, I didn't care.
The character, the fraud.
Yeah, that was the first 5 years.
It changed me watching you go through that night, because I really looked up to you.
Yeah.
And idealized you.
I looked up to me.
It was like seeing.
I thought I was good.
It was like watching, your dad fall down.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, he's mortal.
Yeah.
And I remember I chased you out to the parking lot as you were leaving. You remember that?
Yeah.
Just the kid chasing you.
Yeah, and I said I needed a burger. I said hypoglycemia.
Hypoglycemia. Yeah, my mom had that, so I kind of was like, oh, I know what that is.
Okay.
We had not met at that point, but I felt so compelled to tell you how much you meant to me and how hard that was.
Yeah,
but
don't go kill yourself.
Yeah. I was like, Kirk, you're the best, dude. You're like one of the greatest comedians. You're one of my favorite comedians. Like, don't let that, And here I am, like probably 22 years old, telling you.
Yeah, but that was a dark Layne.
Yeah. But look, like you said, he chilled out after that, and then it just became more.
Well, I had to find a way to just be.
When did that? One thing we would talk about a lot at El Compadre was like
hot bitches.
That was like normally the first like hour of us hanging.
Where's the bitches?
Then we talk about the craft. But your approach and kind of like a mindset that you would bring, like you put a label to it, because I've always liked the way I like looking at your notebook, the way you write and the chunks, as we would. Yeah. You would call them, and then I would start calling them. They're like chunks, right? But you also took an approach that you had a label for that was, your whole thing was creepy with a twinkle.
Creepy with a twinkle.
And it kind of became like a persona type thing. When does that develop?
It develops when you realize you're creepy. And that...
You're also a little charming.
Yeah, as long as you can be creepy, but if the twinkle's there, Bundy was creepy with a twinkle. And then eventually the twinkle was gone. So the creepy with the twinkle got the girls in that VW bug. But when the twinkle left...
Yeah.
They soon followed.
Right.
But it also happened that every role I've played is a sex offender. Oh my God. So I just began to accept it. And then you lean into what's paying your SAG insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm an actor. I usually play a sex offender. I'm not, but I do possess many of their qualities. But then even recently, I have like 2 hours I haven't taped. So one of them is the sex offender chunk. But the funny thing is like, I don't always play a sex offender. But even when I don't, my character's thinking about it. So that's kind of the Layne. Like every character is wearing a members only jacket.
Yeah.
And I remember I reached out to members only and I said, "Oh, you guys should sponsor me." And they were like, "Oh, we'll definitely send you some jackets because every role I'm in one." And then I remember I wanted the leather one, and they wouldn't send that. So I quit talking to them.
You no longer remember.
I just said, how can you not give me a leather one? I don't want the ones that every homeless has.
Yeah, I bet you could bargain a little bit better now. I think you're in a higher standing.
My stock has risen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the creepy with a twinkle.
Yeah.
I mean, can see you having to knock on your neighbors' doors. Be like, just so you know, I'm in a lot of movies as a sex offender.
Yeah.
And just that's it.
I was thinking about this the other day, too. I used to be called Boots. My dad would put me in diapers, and I'd walk up and down the street. And then as I got to be 6 or 7 years old, I started getting autographs. I'd go door to door just with my autograph book. So here's a 7-year-old just like, "Hi, can I have your autograph?" So I thought my dad was maybe looking for pedophiles.
You're the bait?
I thought I was bait. My dad was a handyman, but I always kind of thought he was undercover something. So I was just thinking about that the other day. Is like everything is geared me toward
creepy.
Toward creepy.
Yeah. No, you wear it great.
Yeah, it's all I got.
Yeah, but I've never seen creepy do so well in the public. Just there's the twinkle.
It's the twinkle, man.
It's very
you feel it, right? Shit, if there was a power outage right now, there'd be some shit happening.
There's still sparks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, I think the people that cast you in things definitely cast you for you. Like you said, like you're not really acting; you're just kind of showing up.
But in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been a little more of the heart.
Yeah.
Not every role.
Oh, way more likable.
Yeah, not every role is headed toward prison.
I would say your roles have gotten bigger though, because like before it's just a few lines, Joe from Sewage, you coming in and out. Now you play characters that could be reoccurring, like the one on Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs, I played Kenny Boy. He was in charge of meth.
Yeah.
Salvage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But creepy. But the twinkle was there.
Yeah, but that was also like, to me, at that point,
and we did 3 seasons, and I was just supposed to kind of be maybe 1 or 2 episodes the asshole who thought he was native.
Right.
That was the character, is those pretend Indians.
Sure.
White guys who think they're native.
Yeah.
But I thought I was native. Like, I just thought, oh, this guy's awesome. He's native. He's a white guy so I just played it from my heart of kind of the way I live anyway.
Yeah.
Inspired by my dad. It was
right.
just, this guy's all heart.
Yeah.
And I spoke native. I spoke, all the language. But I never thought that I wasn't. So then Sterling Harjo just said, oh, maybe you are. And so the whole 3 seasons, everyone thinks I am. There's no confirmation if I was or wasn't. I was just love.
Yeah.
And the kids loved me, and I wanted to do good things, and got out of the meth game, I think, toward the end.
Would you say, because in my opinion, that was the best use of Kirk Fox at that point?
Yes.
Like he actually got a fuller spectrum of you. Before, like we said, usually it's just you being creepy for a little bit, in and out.
Yeah.
Now it's like you're kind of a lovable, and then when you'd pop up on that, you train the audience.
Yeah.
Because when you pop up, like,
I would say Reservation Dogs was kind of the coming out party of allowing me to be a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm on a new show called The Lowdown with Ethan Hawke, and they're shooting their 2nd season right now, and that's a Sterling show also.
It is.
The guy who did Reservation Dogs. So now, and I'm kind of playing a little bit of someone with some heart, but he's also maybe a sexual deviant in a way. But he's a public defender. I have a job, so that's good. But there's always going to be a little bit of. It's pretty easy for me to be a fan of tits. So every character's trying to get someone into his waterbed.
How's it working with Ethan Hawke, man?
The best.
He's so cool.
The best.
He's so good.
He's just, he's open.
Yeah.
He's there for you, and he's funny and
He's
smart.
a funny guy. You guys laughing?
We're laughing.
Man, that's so cool.
We're laughing. And, I'll go back in a few weeks and do one more episode. And
nice.
that'll be 3.
So that I'm sorry, what was the creator?
Sterling Harjo.
He saw you do stand-up.
He saw me do stand-up. And then I think a week later, I did a self-tape for the show. And I didn't know it was him. I thought it was a Nickelodeon show because it was Disney. And I didn't want to do another Nickelodeon show. For some reason, I did this show on Nickelodeon, but it was a character. I was playing the big, dumb And, the brains wasn't yet over 2008.
Yeah.
And that was in 2012. So that means 4 years I was trying to wrap my head around being comfy.
Oh, yeah.
Having moments where there'd be some anxiety.
Sure. How did the test help you?
The test?
Yeah. Did being a TV host like that change anything for you? Because that's such a different thing.
No,
than what you've
it
done.
didn't help. I was tough too.
Yeah.
But I came out of that with tinnitus.
Oh my God! Do you still have that? Oh,
24/7.
You just had to grow to adapt. I remember when that was so fresh and you couldn't even focus.
Yeah, 2013.
2013, and here you are. You've lived with it now for over a decade.
I'm not good with math, but 13 years. There's a
Damn.
thing called habituation where the brain realizes it's not a threat. And then, you just can live through it. But it rings. It's ringing right now.
Always
It's a
ringing.
little high pitch.
So you got that from the earpiece, you think?
I don't know. Could have just been a short circuit of the brain. People were yelling in my ears. We did 130 episodes.
Yeah, I remember that run.
And
God. What did Dr. Phil say to you? Like something about anonymity? Like he said something like, "Enjoy your anonymity."
anonymity?
Anonymity.
That's a tricky word.
But it means
I like to say my brand is anonymity, and a lot of you don't know me, so I'm doing something right.
I like that.
But
Dr. Phil saw it. Whose choice was it to shave your mustache for that, by the way? No way that was your call.
it was not my call.
Did you fight it?
No, I wasn't in a position to fight. I just had
Accepted.
surrendered to. I'm a talk show host.
Wow.
And that was a rough year
Yeah, I remember that.
because I was a relationship expert who'd never been in a committed relationship. So
Your whole thing's a fraud, dude. I love it.
my whole life is. Even now, I'm married for land. It's all.
Didn't you marry a Clint Eastwood's daughter at first just to buddy up with him?
Well, I just wanted to golf
You
with
married-
Clint Eastwood. So, creepy with a twinkle. That means I can commit to golf.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always say don't marry someone because their father's your favorite actor. Eventually, you're just waking up with her.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Did he ever call you on that?
Yeah.
I know you have a joke about it, but has he ever?
I
did
don't
he
even.
ever?
But I don't even. That's how much bullshit I am that I wasn't even talking about that.
Well, you had a joke way
Well,
after.
the joke was, he said if you really wanted to golf with me this bad, all you had to do was ask.
Yeah.
And then at some point he called me a son of a bitch.
He called me son.
I was like, you called me son. That's all I ever wanted. I was the first son to try and take. I was the first husband to try and take my wife's last name. I mean, there's so many now. And I remember she said, I only married you because you reminded me of Clint. And I said, that's amazing. That's the exact same reason I married you. I'm crushing.
Yeah.
God, I'm crushing.
These
in
are
here.
classics. Oh God. All right. Well, before you go, can you explain one more thing? It's something I love that you taught me a long time ago. That was passed on to you from your dad. You want to explain to the people what Raya is?
Raya. I think when my dad was 65 years old, he was trudging in the deep sand in Mission Beach. Every morning he would go down there with his bamboo pole with a golf ball on top. They called him Bamboo Ben. And he would trudge from Crystal Pier to the jetty.
Yeah.
And he was trudging one day. Suddenly his heart stopped and he was dead on his feet. And with his he took a deep breath or whatever breath was still in him. And he did not know why, but he just said, Raya. Raya. And his heart started beating. And he was alive. And for the next, almost 20 years, he would trudge every day. And everyone he saw, he would greet them with a rousing Raya. Always, never closed fist. That's negative. Has to be open. Raya. And everyone would return the Raya to him. And there'd be 20, 30 people trudging with him toward the end. Raya. Raya. They all loved him. And then kind of toward the end of his life, I said, what's Raya? It took me 15 years to ask. That's how self-absorbed I was. He said, it's air backwards. It's the first thing we take in when we're born, and it's the last thing we let go of when we die. So it's just Raya. So that's kind of, get out of bed, stand on your head, take a deep breath, and say love. Raya. And that's all things that help me get over anxiety or panic attacks or dealing with that, is just, you take a deep breath. You just say love. Before I take the stage in the back, I just love, man. You want to hug the room.
Yeah.
Hand them words on a pillow, not a rock. You make friends with anxiety. If it does come back, you just say, hey, there you are. Where you been?
Old friend.
You don't, it's no longer a weight. It's just, if you get anxious, it means something's important. Mm-hmm. Then you take a breath and say, okay, let's just be in this moment. Anxiety is worried about the future or concerned about the past, a failure in your brain. But if you're just here, try and ride the middle.
Yeah.
Don't be swayed by praise or blame.
You're hitting me.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's life. And the great thing you'll love is my dad, when he got cancer, he was supposed to go quick. But he said, I'll just let nature take its course. So he never went to the hospital. And he lasted 2 years. He's like, I'll go out in the garden. And eventually he wouldn't trudge. And he said, son, the bed has finally won out. But then for 2 years, it didn't. I'm like, why? Why are you still here? And he said, I want to see your mom so bad every morning, I just keep waking up. So that's love. And this was a tough guy.
Yeah.
He was stoic, handyman.
Mm-hmm.
Teeth would be pulled with no Novocaine. Raised 5 kids. Married my mom, moved in with her and her mother.
Whoa.
He'd build a fire for grandma every night. I grew up in the same house my mom grew up in. I married Jaren, my wife, and I moved in with her and her mother. I did exactly what my dad did. So I'm him. So that's kind of where I am now.
Yeah.
Seeds of truth, water with an imagination, leave a room better for having visited, nudge them to the light. The youth, I always like the young. I kind of nudge them if I can save them a little time.
Yeah.
Most don't listen, but I'll let them know, lead with love or kindness.
Wow. It's working, man.
Never blame the room. They want to laugh. They're there. They got a sitter. Give them a chance.
Give them a chance.
Hug them with your words.
It's working, man. You used to be like this thing that I would just talk about. Now people are talking about you, and you're getting popular, and it's so awesome.
Sometimes the brightest blooms are late.
And it's bright, man. I'm on a cruise in the middle of nowhere with all these emo bands who just, there's this guy, my buddy Sergio from this band Dance Gavin Dance was just like, he's a huge comedy fan. and he's like, oh, he's asking me. I think the first person he asked me, like, do you know Kirk Fox? And here I am in the middle of the sea, and I'm like,
no one knows Kirk Fox.
I was like, wow, dude, like Kirk's really just fucking made it. Do I know Kirk Fox? Have you ever heard of a little land called El Compadre?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to see the word getting around.
Yeah, man, it's just good to be anywhere.
It's great. Well, Kirk, thank you so much, brother.
Okay, man, now I put on my glasses. Shit, man.
Fuck yeah.
Go out in the world. Thank you,
Yeah,
ladies.
you look so good.
They were open.
They were open.
Not at first, and then you wear them down. That's what Bundy
It's that Twinkle,
Bundy did.
Yep. I appreciate you.
All right, brother.
Raya.
Keep shining. You got a podcast.
Yep.
You were the last one.
Yes, I was. Yep. No more after this.
Yeah, I never had one, but
Yeah, I think your TV movie career is just fine.
Just a tennis pro.